Hey everyone, this is mjavedva with another tutorial whether how we can do progress invoicing in QuickBooks Desktop. Well, in general, progress invoicing refers to a billing method where a customer is invoiced incrementally based on the progress of the project, rather than invoicing for the entire project. This approach is commonly used in industries where projects are lengthy, complex, or involve multiple phases. Anyhow, let's suppose a customer approached with a new and lengthy project and asks you to treat, record, or manage it separately, which needs to be invoiced multiple times until it's completed. So, to record it separately, go to your customer center and click on New Customer and Jobs and select Add Job. Here, write your job name and fill the remaining info. And in this field, you need to select the concerned customer so that it can be recorded as a separate project, and then click on OK to create the job. And here you can see that a new job or project under this fictitious customer has been created. Now, let's create an estimate for this project. And to create an estimate, you can keep the project selected and go to Create Estimates under Customer menu. Or you can go to Home page and select Estimate to create one. Here, select your project, change the date and other info, and then add the requested items. Since all the items I have added are services items, you can quantify them as hours you worked on to complete them. But I'm not going to quantify them as hours. Instead, I'm leaving them as it is. And you can add markups in terms of both amount as well as in percentage. And then click on Save and Close to create the estimate. Now, let's suppose you email the estimate to your client, and after getting approved, you started working on it. And after completing a certain portion of it, you want to send an invoice to your client. And we know that it's not a one-off project. That's why we cannot send an invoice for the whole project. So we need to activate the progress invoicing feature in QuickBooks if we haven't already. So go to Preferences under Edit menu and select Jobs and Estimates. Here under Company Preferences tab, select the radio button to activate the progress invoicing feature. And when you select No on the estimates, it closes the progress invoicing feature altogether. So estimates are a must to use the progress invoicing feature in the version of QuickBooks I'm using at this point in time. Perhaps in the latest versions, it's not a requirement. So click on Yes and then click on OK. Here, QuickBooks needs to close all the open windows to activate the feature. Just click on OK and it will close all the open windows to activate it. Here, click on the Home button on the side panel to open the Home page. Now, let's go to Create Invoices and select the project. And as soon as you will select the project, it will open the Estimate window. Since there is only one estimate, just select it and click on OK. Here, QuickBooks will open a small window where it will give you three options. The first one is for the whole project, and it will be an invoice we create normally. The second one is to create an invoice for the certain percentage of the entire project. Here, all we need is to put a percentage like 20%, 30%, etc. And the third option is to create an invoice for the completed items and for different percentages of each item. This is the one which is used mostly, but I will use both of these options individually so that we can have a clear idea. So since this estimate is based on all services items, I'm using the second option. Let's say it's done 20%. So just put 20% here and then click on OK. QuickBooks will calculate the 20% of the entire project and populate the invoice for you. Here you can rearrange the columns, or you can just close the side panel by clicking on this arrow button to make some room. Here you can select a class if you are managing some. Then if you want, you can change the invoice template and then change the date or other info. Anyhow, since this is the first partial invoice of the whole project, you don't see nothing in the prior column, so it's sitting at 0%. And if you still want to make some changes, you sure can. Let's suppose this service item is completed 25%. You can just change it to 25% and QuickBooks will adjust the amount automatically. And if you can't analyze in terms of percentage, you sure can change the amount too. And QuickBooks will automatically adjust the percentages. And then click on Save and Close to create the invoice. Now, to see the progress of the entire project, open the Job Progress versus Estimates report under the Report menu. This report won't be visible if you haven't turned on the Progress Invoicing feature. Anyhow, change the date to see the one we have just created. And here you can see that it's been completed 25.39%. Now let's create another invoice. So go to Create Invoices and select your project. Then select the concerned estimate if you have more than one. Then click on OK. Here it gives you the same window with a little difference, which is in the first option. Last time when we created an invoice from this estimate, it was saying 100%. But now it is saying for the remaining amounts of the estimate. And if your project has been completed, then simply select the first option and create the invoice for the rest of the amounts of the estimate. Since it's not completed, I'm selecting the second option and clicking on OK after adding some percentage. Now in the prior column, you can see the completed percentages of each item. And by adding the current 20%, it's also giving you the total completion of each item. And if you want to make changes in the current percentages or amount, you sure can. But you cannot change the percentages given in the prior column in this invoice. Then change the date and other info. And then click on Save and Close to create the invoice. Now let's see the progress of the project. And here you can see that it's been completed 45.39%. Now let's create another invoice under this project and then we will create a new project to cover the third option. And if you want to see the estimate and its related invoices, you can just double click on it and it will take you to the estimate of the project. Here you can press Ctrl+H, which will open a transaction history window related to this estimate. Or you can go to Transaction tab to see the related invoices. Or you can click on this icon to see the details of the related invoices. Now let's close these windows and create another project under another fictitious customer to cover the third option. Now the new project has been created and let's create an estimate against this project. Here change the date and other concerned information. And here I'm adding three different items. First, amount base. Second, labor base, which we will quantify by adding hours as unit. And the third one is inventory base. Let's say installing doors. So the first one will cost 2,500 excluding markups. And the repair work will take 15 hours to complete. and let's say 10 doors need to be installed. And you can add markups according to your need, whether in terms of amount or percentage. And when you see the preview of the estimate, you see that it's not showing the markup column because markup is the internal cost calculation in terms of profit that must not be shown to the customer. And if it's showing on your print preview, you can go to Customize Data Layout under Formatting tab, and here under Column tab, you need to uncheck this checkbox if it's checked. Then click on Save and Close to create the estimate. Now let's create an invoice and select this project. And as soon as you will select the project, the estimate will pop up. Just click on it and click on OK. And this time, instead of selecting the second option, I'm selecting the third one. Here, adjust the column widths to make it convenient for you. And you can add the partial completion of the project in terms of amount or percentage. Let's say 20%. And 2 hours have been worked in terms of repair work. And let's suppose 1 door has been installed, and the QuickBooks will calculate the respective fields automatically. And up here, you have 2 different checkboxes, which basically simplify the working on this window. Like if you uncheck this one, it will remove the percentage column from the table. And you will focus on the ones you need the most, like worked quantities and amount. And if you uncheck this one, this will remove the quantity and rate columns. And when you are done making changes on this window, just click on OK and QuickBooks will populate the invoice for you. Then change the date and if you still need to make some more changes, you sure can. And then click on Save and Close to create the invoice. And when you go to Job Progress Report, you can see that this job has been completed 17.77%. Now let's create another invoice, selecting this project again. And let's suppose 4 hours of repair work have been done, and 2 more doors have been installed, and further 30% have been completed on the blueprints. Then click on OK, and then change the date and make some other changes according to your need, and then click on Save and Close to record the invoice. And when you go to Job Progress Report, you can see that this project has been completed 46.06%. Now, I'm just creating another invoice regarding this project, and then we will close these projects or jobs by sending the invoice for the remaining work. And here you can see that both of these projects have been completed above 70%. And now let's complete these projects by sending the invoice for the remaining work. So go to Create Invoices and select a project. And this time you need to select the first option, which says create an invoice for the remaining amounts of the estimate, and then click on OK. QuickBooks will calculate the remaining amounts of the estimate and populate the invoice for you, and then make your changes and click on Save and Close to create the invoice. And when you go to Job Progress Report, here you can see that it's been completed 100%. And when you double click on the 100%, it will take you to the estimate. And on the Transaction tab, you can see the related invoices. And to have a full view of these invoices, just click on this icon and it will take you to the details of each invoice. Now, let's close this project too. And here you can see that it's been done 100%. And then go to Customer Center, double click on the project, and under Job Status tab, you can add some description. And then add the end date of the project. And then change the status of the job to close. And then click on OK. And when you go to Create Invoices and select the project, it brings up the estimate window. And it's just because the status of the estimate is still active. And if you want to close the estimate too, open the estimate and mark it as inactive. And then click on Save and Close, and then click on Yes to confirm the changes. And when you create an invoice again and select the project, it won't bring up the estimate window because there is no active estimate here. And if you want to check the profitability of the project, and select the project, and here are the reports that you can go through to check the profitability of the project. And this is how you can do progress invoicing in QuickBooks Desktop. And if you have stayed this far, please consider supporting by liking, subscribing, and sharing your thoughts in the comment section. And I hope this will be helpful for someone out there. And thanks for watching.